Yo guys, welcome to the Zelda fiction. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto got born as a god and fell in love with Kagaya? Part 1. Huge shout out to Tsukun-sama for this story. If you end up liking this video, please consider subscribe, so without further ado, let's get into the video. Naruto growls in annoyance, his breath is a bit haggard as Sakura applies healing chakra to his arm, which is severely burned, and Kurama was doing his best to keep him alive from exhaustion. Kuzo, her defenses are even better than Gaara's. I'm also pretty low on chakra. Sasuke, we need to end this quickly. You distract her and I will touch her with my seal, you touch her with yours after, okay? Naruto whispered, occasionally glancing at Kagaya as she stood stoically there, waiting for Naruto and Sasuke's next move. Sasuke hated to admit it, but he was also on his last legs too, keeping aloft with his Susanoo was hard, but it was better than falling into the lava of this dimension. Alright, let's go. Sasuke said as he started flying to the side, but slowly getting closer to Kagaya, drawing her attention from Naruto to him, but he silently cursed to himself as he realized this may be a moot plan, given her apparent Byakugan. Naruto had adopted the jutsu Madara had used after Kurama had broken it down to him, after seeing it for a few times, it was a non-elemental based jutsu, but it required a lot of chakra as trade-off. Limbo. Naruto thought to himself, and at first he thought it had failed, but soon noticed his chakra reserves were dangerously low. Kurama had only been able to create enough for this jutsu and keep him alive. Along with 5 invisible Narutos rushed out towards Kagaya. I guess this will have to do for now, hopefully Sasuke's distraction is enough. He thought to himself, as Kagaya had her all-seeing Sharingan out. Kagaya was completely focused on Sasuke's assault at the moment, banking on being able to feel the killer intent from Naruto to block his attack, but if it was anyone else the killing intent that Sasuke was emitting would be fatal. Nice try, but your little pinprick attacks will do nothing to me. She said indifferently, as she quickly diffused that fireballs into nothing but fire nature chakra that left a warm breeze as it passed her. What she didn't notice was that the chakra that had flew past her had masked Naruto's Limbo's currently minimal chakra right now. So it wrapped her in a full Nelson headlock. Holding tight as Kagaya flailed pointlessly. Sasuke let out a sigh of relief as he downed another soldier pill, bringing back a little of his vast Kage-level chakra reserves. He had truthfully used more chakra than was safe distracting her, but the curse mark had kept him alive. Naruto let out a sigh of relief as he lurched forward, floating as the Rakuto Sennin he was allowed, hand outstretched. Sasuke now. He exclaimed, a sun forming on the palm of his hand, the moon forming on Sasuke's hand as he flew towards Kagaya, dropping his Susanoo. Switching with one of Naruto's black orbs. We did it. The dimension started to fade back to the intense godly battle-scarred land between Konohagakure no Sado and Tokigakure no Sado. Though one thing was very much apparent to Naruto and Sasuke after a few moments. I wouldn't celebrate so quickly, as I am not sealed, though I must thank you for releasing me from that horrendous man's control. Is there any way I can fix this blasphemous appearance? She asked curiously, as she was currently in an Edo Tensei form, which she found blasphemous as a shrine priestess. Naruto sweat dropped, though he was grateful that the battle had seemingly stopped because he knew if he had to continue things as they are, there would be a high chance the only hopes to their survival was zero. Yeah, I remember a jutsu used by an enemy turned friend at one point used. He called it the Rin Tensei. Naruto admitted, though he honestly did not know why he was helping the enemy, but something deep in his soul told him that Kagaya didn't mean them any more ill will, or she was damn perfect at acting and hiding auras. Sasuke sent Naruto a shut up or I kill you dope look, but something told him that they were no longer in danger as well. Naruto, I'd be careful about telling her about such deadly techniques, he trailed warily. Kagaya looked a bit annoyed that he didn't believe that she wasn't going to attack them anymore, but she couldn't fault them for being precautious of her. Given all the havoc she had wrought since she was brought back from the dead. Why thank you Ito, I do not know your name, she trailed lightly, as she only knew him by the name she herself had given him, the Child of Prophecy. Naruto gained one of his foxish grins on his, and he dropped his golden Kurama cloak, much to Sasuke's annoyance. Though after a few moments of Naruto still not being attacked, Sasuke dropped his perfect Susanoo as well. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. After this I will be the Kage of Konohagakure no Sado. He exclaimed lightly, giving her the Mito-gai approved thumbs up of youth. Somewhere else on the battlefield. Lee. Somewhere I can feel someone's flames of youth burning brightly. He exclaimed as he pulled his teeth from Karen's arm. Much to Guy's dismay and arguments about how leaving bite marks was unyouthful and all that, he had taken Karen's help. It was slowly regenerating his skin, but at the level he had broken his legs, it would kill Karen to try and regenerate, meaning he would never walk again without aid. Back with the trio. Kagaya smiled at this, then her eyes widened a bit as a blush crossed her face. Naruto's torso had been exposed because his shirt was little more than tatters at the moment. My, he would make a wonderful mate. I haven't felt the touch of a man in a few millennia. She is still a human woman after all, she thought to herself as she admired Naruto's body as discreetly as possible, but this didn't go unnoticed by the wandering nin that was Sasuke. Sasuke noticed her eyeing Naruto, but the blush on her face threw him off. He, unlike his counterpart, was painfully aware of things of the opposite gender. He had spurned many beautiful women's advances as to not get them involved into his descent into bloodlust or domination plans. Contrary to popular belief, he had a heart, so he slowly slid his katana back into the scabbard as the lightning nature chakra disappeared as well. Pagaya thought for a moment and realized she could use the aforementioned technique as well. The Rinnegan part of her Sharingan pulsed, and the statue Nagato had used to revive the Leaf Village appeared beside her. I shall return momentarily, she said, stepping into the statue's mouth, disappearing as the mouth closed. Naruto looked to Sasuke, who also shared his confused look as to why she was no longer attacking them, but both were thankful that the fighting seemed to be over as the jaw slowly lowered, revealing a still white-haired woman, but now it was slightly darker, more silver than pure white. Her eyes still a pale lavender as seen on the Hyuga, and she was now wearing a red-bottomed white-topped shrine priestess outfit. Think Kikyo from Inuyasha. Sasuke's eyes narrowed at her, drawing his katana swiftly, charging lightning chakra into it, gaining a defensive stance. Pagaya noticed Sasuke's returned animosity towards her, but waved it off as she cleared her throat, garnering their full attention to her. First off, I am guessing you guys are wondering why I am not wiping the floor with your weakened forms, correct? Kagaya said, intentionally making a jab at the Uchiha's pride. When he looked annoyed at her, she laughed lightly and waved him off. When you're a goddess incarnate, you can even wave off the annoyance of an angry Uchiha. Kagaya loved this part about it. Naruto laughed at Sasuke's annoyance too, because at least he could admit there was almost no chance in hell of them winning against her, but he still had Kurama and all the other tails, creating as much chakra as they could just in case. More importantly, how did only Madara's influence on you as an Edo Tensei get sealed, but not you yourself? Naruto asked curiously. When it came to women, he was a complete dunce, but otherwise, he was on the battle tactics and position of Inara. The guy returned her sight back towards Naruto and smiled, weirding Naruto out a bit. He is very perceptive, he will make a great mate. Kagaya thought to herself and nodded at Naruto's question. That is easy to tell, it's because it was created by the shrine priestesses. Used to seal demons that used to roam the countryside before the time of ninjas. I cannot directly stop a purse, but I can redirect it, though I couldn't in the Edo form under Madara's control, so there is only one person that could have done that. She trailed lightly and looked to her right as an ethereal form of Hagoromo Itsuki appeared next to her. Hagoromo nodded with a sly smile as she says, it is true, my mother was unable to change the direction of the seal, but I did. The fact that you two are still alive proves my theory. Hagoromo said, looking towards his mother with a smile. After being sealed in the moon for so long, even her soul couldn't leave. It seems the insanity from her consuming the forbidden fruit eventually wore off. Hagoromo said, causing Naruto and Sasuke to sweat dropped at this. Hagoromo had risked their lives and the lives of the world on a gamble. Even Tsunade is not much of a gambler compared to this enigma. Sasuke recovered first from his stupor and straightened up a bit. Suo, you're telling me that your mother is now sane? Or as sane as she can be? Sasuke asked curiously, his hand never leaving his katana. He was physically exhausted, but his chakra had recovered to about a third of its normal levels. Naruto smacked Sasuke upside the back of his head at the last comment. Hey. That was rude, man. Be thankful that she didn't even want anything in return for us conspiring against. Naruto was about to finish when he was interrupted by Kagaya clearing her throat, garnering the attention of all the males present. I never said I didn't want anything, she trailed, blushing a little, looking at Naruto with a smile. To trade for the restoration and release of everyone present, I want you, Naruto, as my mate, she said, causing everyone, including her son, the famous Rikudo Sennin, to have their eyes widen at her demand. Hagoromo looked baffled at this. He had to admit, Naruto controlled his sage powers rather well, but the prospect of having someone so young as his father was a no-go with him. But mother. He is but a child, he exclaimed, causing Naruto grow a tick mark on his forehead. Limbo. 3 more Naruto shadows appeared and pounced on the ethereal Hagoromo. The shadows had shifted to the same plane as Hagoromo. Take that back. I'm 19 now, he exclaimed in indignation before his shadows were pried off of her son by Kagaya. Sasuke was still shocked at this sudden revelation, but soon recovered. This dope is going to be married to a literal goddess amongst humans. It should be me. The all-powerful Uchiha. Sasuke exclaimed in annoyance. I had to insert some Sasuke bashing in somewhere. He is a thorn in my side in the series. Before Sasuke could even blink, Kagaya had seamlessly glided over to Sasuke and cracked him over the head with a fist. It's my choice, and I don't want some stuck-up snob to be married to me for all eternity. Dadabik. she exclaimed, her hair standing up like a certain red-hot habanero we all know and love. The nearby area had filled with a dangerous amount of kai aimed at Sasuke, courtesy of Anne Kagaya. Naruto bursted into laughter at this, diffusing the situation almost immediately. Sasuke sat rubbing his head now as Naruto recovered from his bout of laughter. You sound just like my Kasan. I used to hate my verbal tick, but my mom made me love it. It's cute and it seems you have a similar one. Naruto said as he wiped a tear from laughing so hard from his eye and stood back up. Hagoromo had let himself snicker a little bit. It really was funny to see his mother get like this, and it wasn't aimed at him or his brother, seeing her suddenly break from her normally stoic expressions. It's good to see you back to normal, Mom. Oh well, it seems my time here is gone. Take care of my mom now, okay Dad? Hagoromo asked, leaving one last jab at the blonde-haired knucklehead ninja. Sakura had walked up as she had tended to all the people she could and was currently recovering her chakra to tend to the next wave of injured. Did he just call Naruto father? She asked, causing all eyes to turn to her, causing Naruto to sigh, but not an affirmation at her observation. Naruto had almost forgotten about her request to trade for his hand in marriage, for the lives of all the remaining ninja, and their release from the Tsuki no Mai. Oh yeah Kagaya-chan, I agree to your terms, please release and bring back the fallen. Naruto intoned, his voice laced with conviction as to what he had to do to save his loved ones. One of his mottos was to protect those he cared about, and he cared about all of the alliance. Kagaya nodded at this, and her third eye pulsed once more. The statue that hadn't left her side now released all the recently deceased souls back into their bodies, regenerating them enough to live. Her third eye slowly began to close as the moon's blood-red color began to fade. The pods along the trees started to open as tree slowly began retracting itself into the ground, causing the asleep ninja to lay safely on the ground. I see your conviction to your principles is as hard as steel, so you will make a fine Naruto-kun. She said with a soft smile, causing Naruto to blush as the third eye fully closed, her horns also retracted into her forehead. Making her look more human than anything else right now. Sakura's eyes widened at what Kagaya said, and the lines started connecting to what she overheard. What? You're marrying her, didn't she try to kill you? Sakura exclaimed incredulously, causing the present party to cover their ears, as at the sheer volume that this pink-haired woman could produce. Naruto nodded solemnly, but smiled soon after. It's alright Sakura-chan, she reminds me a lot of my mom and Hinata combined, so I am sure it will be fine. Naruto admitted and explained what had happened while she was gone, causing Sakura to nod in acknowledgement as to what had went down. Sasuke saw the look in her eyes. She didn't want to see her friend go down this path, maybe out of slight jealousy. She hadn't been entirely lying when she told Naruto she loved him, just not the way he had wanted in the past. It's okay Sakura, though there is a little something we have to settle before things are officially done. You recover faster than I do, so I know you're ready for this. Sasuke trailed as he looked at the only man he had ever considered truly a friend. Naruto nodded as well and they took to the air, flying towards what was left of the Shikamatsu no Tani after their last encounter. Yeah, let's finish this, it's still 2-2 after all. Naruto exclaimed, gaining his foxish grin, giving Sasuke the Mido guy approved thumbs up of youth as they flew towards the Shikamatsu no Tani. Sasuke was the first to arrive, dropping his Susanoo. He wanted to fight Naruto, no avatars for now. Look what I still have. Sasuke said, reaching into his cloak, pulling out his old scratched forehead protector. He held up a hand to Naruto to ask him to wait a few moments. Sasuke charged lightning into a kunai, essentially electroplating the headband with his kunai, making it darker, the scratch and the leaf symbol disappearing. Once that was finished he carved the Konohagakure symbol into it and donned his headband once again. Sending Naruto his own version of the foxish grin that Naruto loved and cherished so much. The wave of nostalgia passed over Naruto as flashbacks of when they were kids popped into his head, though some things were vastly different. The hatred towards Naruto and his brother was no longer there, in its place was the slightly out of place, a look that Naruto hadn't truly seen in years. Happiness that he was going to spar with someone he considered a friend. Come on. I won't hold back just because you look like something Tora dragged in. Naruto exclaimed lightly, causing Sasuke to gain a tick mark at two things, Naruto's jab at him and the mention of that demonic cat they had to capture so many times. Sasuke's hand went up to scar he still had along his jawline from the time he had captured Tora. After that, he let Naruto capture him. Because of the QB he didn't scar up at all, much to Naruto's dismay. You look like you normally do after Tora gets her claws into you. Sasuke said with a smirk, causing Naruto to gain a tick mark on his forehead too. He had actually been hospitalized one time by that damned cat. Naruto clenched his fist for a second, then let it relax as he felt laughter bubbling up inside of him. Why did he feel this way? Because he was cracking jokes with a man who seemed to have gone to the darkest part of himself and seemed impossible to recover, but now this was proven wrong. He snickered a little bit, barely able to contain his laughter. So did Sasuke, soon they were both in a fit of laughter. Sasuke's laughter was natural and didn't sound forced, nor did it sound like the time when he attempted to kill Sakura. Naruto was the first to recover, clutching his sides as they hurt from laughing so hard. "I'm glad I am able to crack a joke or two with you like in the past," Naruto said with a genuine smile beaming at Sasuke. Sasuke nodded, a light but genuine smile crossed his face. "You ready to lose worse than Real Madrid did?" Naruto gained a tick mark on his forehead at this quip. "You ready to lose like Brazil did to Germany?" he asked, causing Sasuke to chuckle at this. Naruto drew a kunai as Sasuke drew his katana, not coating it in lightning chakra, because this time he didn't want to kill Naruto, it was a spar for old time's sake. Sasuke then disappeared from sight, causing Naruto's eyes to widen, but soon realized where his rival was as the air behind him suddenly shifted. Naruto's other black orbs, that remained after Sasuke switched with one of them, quickly shifted into defensive mode, blocking the kick that would have hit Naruto. "Not immediate, seems this will be like the fight with Gaara back during the Chunin exams," Sasuke mused out loud and Naruto nodded. Naruto smirked as Sasuke let his guard down to quickly retreat from the reach of his black orbs, but failed to notice the one bolting for him. "Gotcha," Naruto exclaimed as the ball went hurtling into what he thought was Sasuke, but had to cover his eyes as wood chips went flying at him. "I haven't seen the Kawarimi no Jutsu since our academy days," Naruto said with a nostalgic look on his face, but it quickly disappeared as Sasuke appeared in front of him, causing Naruto to go on the defensive as they engaged in a taijutsu battle. Their weapons long since forgotten as they engaged in a deadly dance of power and skill. Sasuke kept pounding down on Naruto's defense, silently thanking the fact Naruto had left his orbs on standby as they had their test of will and power through their exchanged blows. "Looks like you're a lot better than last time," Sasuke said with a chuckle, finally breaking through Naruto's defenses, planting a firm kick to Naruto's chest, causing him to skid back a few feet, nothing too serious, enough to show he meant business though. Naruto rubbed his chest lightly, then smirked. During their fray, Naruto had managed to get his variation of the Hiraishin symbol on Sasuke without him noticing, so he appeared in front of Sasuke with a golden flash, startling the last Uchiha a bit, sending him on the defensive end this time. "You're no pushover yourself," Naruto commented truthfully. Last time they were here, he just wanted to land a scratch on Sasuke, but this time, he wanted to land a full blow on Sasuke. As they battled nail to tooth, they both vented out their anger, frustration, and rage in the only effective way they knew how, wailing on each other. Sasuke was starting to sweat under the onslaught of Naruto's flurry of blows. During their trading of blows, Naruto had managed to form the hand signs for his signature move, the Kage Bushin no Jutsu. Now he was facing down two Narutos instead of just one. "Damn it, this dope really isn't playing around. If I don't cut the bullshit out, I will really lose," Sasuke thought frantically to himself as he leapt back several feet. It'd only have him enough time to finish the hand signs of the first stage of Chidori, as Naruto had used the time to have the clone help him finish molding a Rasengan. "Just like old times, huh?" Sasuke asked, facing his palm parallel to the ground as the sound of 1,000 chirping birds and a mini tornado entered the air. Naruto nodded and activated the Hiraishin seal again, thinking he would appear in front of Sasuke, but when he arrived, Sasuke was no longer in front of him. Where did the team go? Naruto thought to himself, the familiar sound of entered his ears, signaling Sasuke was behind him. Sasuke was snickering. Why was he snickering? It dawned on him that they both decided to go on the offensive by teleporting closer to the other, but since they both had the same idea, they only had taken each other's places. He had to admit that was pretty funny, letting out a few chuckles. "Wow, that's what we call a major fail, huh?" Naruto admitted, never dropping his Rasengan, Sasuke returning in kind by keeping his Chidori up as well. Sasuke nodded and this time opted to just run at Naruto, which the blonde also did, flying at his rival with breakneck speeds. Both intent on ending this match with this one blow. "Time to end this," Sasuke exclaimed, outstretching his hand towards Naruto, which he mirrored. Rasengan. Chidori. The familiar dark gray bubble as their jutsus collided appeared, joining them in one of the strongest techniques known to man or god. Talk no jutsu. Naruto stood up from his kneeling position and looked at Sasuke with cool and collected eyes, matching Sasuke's. "Remember the last time we were here? Last time we were here you had nearly killed Karen and attacked Sakura. Even as I begged you to just come back to the village while you still could back then." Naruto admitted truthfully, causing Sasuke to flinch lightly at the words. "I truthfully hated you for so long, you abandoned me and your friends, you were one of my few friends back then." Sasuke's breath hitched at this revelation, his eyes widening a bit as well. "The dope actually hated me? That's a strong word for someone as kind-hearted as him." Sasuke thought to himself, taking Naruto's words to heart as this was something not to be taken lightly coming from the number one knucklehead ninja. I actually hated you for a long time, until recently I still hated you. I held so tightly to the belief that you made me weak with your ideals, up until the fight with Kagaya, I saw those ideals are what make you truly strong. Naruto smirked a bit at this, but inside he was a bit hurt that Sasuke had actually hated him until recently. Well, I can't become Hokage if I'm weak, can I? Dadabeo. Naruto exclaimed lightly, pumping his fist into the air, causing Sasuke to chuckle at his openness. It was a truly nice sight for change for the Uchiha. Sasuke shook his head a bit as he chuckled. This knucklehead still hasn't changed a bit, but I wouldn't have it any other way from my friend. Sasuke thought to himself, shocking himself as he so easily thought of Naruto as a friend, not just a rival, or a nuisance that was getting in his way. Yeah, you can't, and I can't call some weakling my friend, can I? Sasuke asked curiously, raising an eyebrow to Naruto. Naruto's smile brightened to a seemingly unbelievable amount. Sasuke had only ever once called Naruto his friend, so this was a very special occasion for the both of them. You know, I honestly think things can go back to the way they used to be now, no, even better than they used to be. When I become Hokage, you will be my advisor. Naruto exclaimed lightly, causing Sasuke's eyebrow to twitch lightly at this. Sasuke's eyes were now covered by his bangs, and a dark aura surrounded him for a second. I still plan on becoming the Hokage. Not for the same dark reason, but don't count me out yet. He exclaimed in light annoyance at Naruto's proclamation before calming down a few moments later. Though when I become Hokage, you will be my advisor, how does that sound? Be happy. Sasuke said with a fake haughty attitude. He honestly wanted Naruto to be his right-hand man. If he became Hokage, Naruto was a great ninja. He also held the aptitude for being a great advisor on various subjects that may come up with training. Naruto's bangs now covered his bangs, mirroring Sasuke's earlier look. You know you'll become Hokage over my dead body. Not even then. Naruto exclaimed lightly, looking back at his best friend and long-term rival. The wide area surrounding them slowly faded as it gave way to a now rain-filled final valley where they stood in a now sizable crater, one of the few lone islands at the bottom of the waterfall. Sasuke rolled his eyes in joking mock of Naruto's statement. I don't believe words, only actions, though I do believe you have won this match. Sasuke simply stated, falling backwards due to chakra exhaustion and just plain exhaustion from their earlier battle with Naruto's soon-to-be wife. Naruto gained a smirk on his face, then suddenly exhaustion hit him like a ton of bricks, he also hit the ground. Damn, that was an intense match. I barely was able to keep you from passing out due to exhaustion. The only thing holding up your pal over there was pure will and what chakra he had left. Naruto chuckled lightly at this, wincing in pain as he realized the kick Sasuke left earlier had probably cracked his chest bone a bit, but Kurama was currently almost finished healing this, along with other broken bones. Thanks Kurama, I owe you for this one. Naruto commented, and Kurama nodded at this. Damn right you do. Kurama exclaimed lightly, cutting the link between the two. Even though Kurama had made that rude comment, he knew that Kurama still cared about him, otherwise he'd be dead by now. Sasuke managed to sit up, placing his right arm on his knee, and looked at the splayed out on the ground, chuckling a bit at the sight. With the way it seems now, you'd swear I had won, but that was a great match. I haven't felt this stress-free since our last match on the rooftop all those years back. Sasuke commented with a wistful tone to his voice, the remorse for his past actions apparent in his voice. Both Naruto and Sasuke noticed the rest of Team 7's presence before they heard Sakura. Hey Sasuke. Naruto. Are you guys okay? She exclaimed to be heard over the waterfall, climbing down the wall towards them. Sasuke and Naruto chuckled at their sometimes overprotective pink-haired teammate, and Naruto sat up, sitting cross-legged. Yeah, we're fine. A few good bumps or bruises, that's all. Naruto called back with a wave to the pink-haired woman as she approached them. Their collective thoughts were oh shit. As Sakura approached them with her bangs covering her eyes, with both fists beat back in a baka punch. Sasuke tried to move, but his body didn't respond as a reaction to his exhaustion, and the killer intent Sakura was leaking. From what he could tell, Naruto wasn't doing much better. Sakura-chan. Sasuke trailed lightly, causing Sakura to pause lightly. It had been years since he had called her that, it had caught her off guard. Sakura shook this off and returned to glaring at the two. What are you two idiots doing? After a fight like that you guys should be resting. Not duking it out like the Raikage and B. Sakura exclaimed as she clocked the frozen men over the head with a chakra-enhanced baka punch at their oversight. Naruto was the first to dig himself from the Naruto-sized hole that Sakura had helped him create. Aight god Sakura-chan, were you trying to kill us? Naruto asked as he rubbed the top of his head. Sasuke pulled himself from his hole as well and sighed, nodding at Naruto's comment. I could swear I saw the Shinigami for a minute. Sasuke trailed a bit, rubbing the spot where she had hit. Kakashi finally walked up after taking his sweet time, placing a hand on Sakura's head, stopping another blow to her other teammates' heads. Mama, it's not time for this right now, it's time for us to celebrate. Kakashi said, smiling at his team. I think this more than warrants a party, don't you think? Kakashi asked lightly, giving Naruto a knowing wink. Sakura had informed him of how they had won the war on the way there. Naruto sighed a bit at this, Kakashi knowing right away was bad, he had seen his sensei writing in a book about the size of Jiraiya's Ika Ika series books. Meaning he was probably going to continue the Sannin series himself. Now he had something he could base it on, aside from the normal plot that was seen in erotic novels. Yeah, it is time for a well-deserved dip in a hot spring, and a party. Naruto exclaimed lightly, causing everyone to chuckle at his antics, but they had to admit that sounded like paradise right now. 3 hours later. Back in the Leaf Village, it had been barely touched by the Jubi's Biju blast. That had spread as far as the eye could see, which surprised Team 7 as they got back, but now there was a sizable dent in their gate. Not only that, but about the size of Kurama, with his tail spread, part of the forest was now gone. Man, that sure was tiring. Though I am thankful for this hot spring that the Jubi blast had unearthed, and for Yamato building something around it. Naruto thought as he laid his head back against the ground as he relaxed into the water, letting all of his tension and worries melt away from him. Sasuke lounged across from him in the water and nodded in affirmation at this. Nothing is better than taking a long hot soak after fighting 2 gods in one day. Sasuke said with a chuckle, then they heard the sliding door that lead to the hot springs open again, which was odd. Because Kakashi had fallen asleep right in between the 2 males and Sakura was just beyond the divider that Yamato had installed. Along with they had reserved the hot springs for at least an hour for their enjoyment. It's not a big one like in most anime. Naruto looked over his shoulder and his eyes widened along with his jaw dropping. Before him was a barely clothed adult Kagaya, wearing nothing but a towel around her sizable assets, bigger than Sakura, but smaller than Hinata. Kagaya-chan, Naruto exclaimed, pinching his nose to stop the nosebleed that was now trying to break free. Sasuke's head snapped up, and so did Kakashi's at the mention of Naruto's fiancé. What are you doing here? This is a male-only section of the hot springs. Sasuke said, keeping his cool, he was still wary of the silver-haired woman, but it didn't show in his expressions or voice. Kakashi grabbed his little blue book from his bag and started writing something in it, muttering something about new book material, before a water ball appeared above his head, drenching his upper half in water. Including his precious new book material little blue book. Ah. New. Kakashi dramatically exclaimed. Kagaya giggled a little bit at Kakashi's dismay and the little prank she had just pulled. She didn't mind too much for perverts like Kakashi, cause secretly she was a closet pervert. Though that didn't mean she wanted to be the next leading female role in that perverted book of his. Well, I want to bathe with my fiancé, I don't see you guys outright rejecting the idea. She said with a knowing smirk. They may have hit it well to most, but she could feel the other 2 males eyeing her body in jealousy of Naruto. Naruto had finally managed to stop his nosebleed when Kagaya had gotten into the water, causing her decently sized breasts to float playfully on the top of the water. Causing Naruto to mentally curse, muttering something about this woman will be the death of me as he tilted his head back. Sasuke nodded, he had to admit, she looked good, but there was only one woman he would truthfully react like Naruto did to her for. Well, I see no problem with letting you stay, after all, this is our hot springs for the next hour. Earning him a glare from his yellow-haired counterpart. Kakashi gave Sasuke an eye smile and looked back to Naruto, who was looking at him with hopeful eyes, but only to be dashed by the openly perverted sensei of theirs. If he's fine with it, then I am too. Kakashi said truthfully, much to Naruto's dismay. This was a good learning experience for the womanly inept kid. Naruto grumbled at this, but he had to admit, he had a beautiful woman next to him, she was a downright bombshell in his eyes, so he wasn't too torn up about the unanimous decision. Well, since we're here together, I am going to have to figure out how to get you into the village without everyone immediately wanting your head on a platter, or worse. Naruto admitted, dropping the mood in the room a few notches. Kagaya flinched a bit at the way he worded it, but nodded as well, knowing this was a problem they would soon have to address. The civilians would be no problem, because they hadn't seen how she looked, so they would not wonder why there was a new face in the village after the alliances. Though that would mean that they would have to get the ninja to agree to at least be silent about her origins. This is true, this is quite a puzzling conundrum. We can't use a henge, cause most ninjas can't see through it pretty quickly. She threw the idea into the air, trailing a bit as she realized how quickly that plan may fail. Kakashi, the smartest one in the group, with an IQ on par with most Naras, was thinking hard about this before he came up with an idea. Well, how about we tell the truth? Kakashi asked, completely serious, causing everyone else to look at him as if he was dumber than a bag of rusty hammers. They all looked at him to explain further as they realized he might be onto something. Well, Kagaya did revive everyone within the 48-hour window before the soul truly leaves this world, so no one really died during the Great Ninja War. Along with the fact she wasn't actually in control when she went on a rampage, so there may be a few resentful factions, but most will be happy to have a godlike woman on their side now. Kakashi finished, everyone nodded at this. Kakashi was right, that was the best possible plan, given the alternatives that had a chance of backfiring on all of them. Naruto had to admit, this straightforward plan had a pretty good chance at success, and if he was going to be married to her, he was going to marry her, they were going to stay in his village. Because her village no longer existed by normal means of the word. So the best bet was to make everyone as comfortable as possible around her. Okay, we will go with that plan when we go to see Abe-chan later to see who will succeed her as to being Hokage. We will run the plan by her, or whoever the Hokage is, and get permission to gather every ninja to hopefully get them to understand. Naruto commented, and everyone nodded at this course of action. Later that evening on the top of the Hokage Tower. Tsunade was currently wheelchair-bound, on orders of current head of the hospital, one Sakura Haruno, much to Tsunade's dismay. She was a medic too, and would have discharged herself if it hadn't been for the incessant insisting of her pink-haired student. Quiet down everyone. Tsunade said, projecting her voice. As you can see, we're all alive and well, surprisingly no one had died during the war. Though we had quite a few close calls with the critically wounded. Though thanks to the quick thinking and skill of my student, along with the medical corps, we saved them. Tsunade exclaimed lightly, the crowd burst into light applause. In the crowd were the Konoha 9, who were intently listening to what Tsunade said, namely Naruto. He was really looking forward to seeing who the next Hokage would be. Tsunade waited for the applause to die down, and when it did, she continued. Though I want to say, do not forget this day, forgive those you once called enemies, they helped us in our time of need. She said lightly, the other villages present at her speech grateful at this. As of today. I will be resigning as your Hokage and passing the will of fire onto the Rokudaime Hokage. She said, causing the crowd to grow silent at this. The ninja of the village had seen this coming for quite a while now. Tsunade was going grey a bit with the stress this job gave her. I would now very much like to announce the Rokudaime Hokage. She paused for dramatic effect before sending Naruto a smirk, which confused him a bit. Uzumaki Namikaze Naruto. The hero of the fourth great ninja war. She exclaimed, and the crowd, which stretched as far as the eye could see in the village, erupted with applause and congratulations. The only one not truly celebrating was aforementioned kid. Naruto was absolutely stunned right now. He had not only pretty much single-handedly stopped the fourth great ninja war, but he was now the Rokudaime Hokage. All of his friends and loved ones, minus one Kagaya for now, were around him, cheering for him and giving him hugs, which he happily but numbly returned. It was when he heard his name again did he wake from his stupor. Tsunade was motioning for him to come up there and make a speech. Come on kid. I'm not getting any younger. She exclaimed, causing the crowd to laugh at her comment. Naruto pretty much bolted up the side of the Hokage tower and made it to the top in no time flat. I present you the Rokudaime Hokage. She exclaimed, sending the crowd into a happy frenzy again, taking a moment or two to calm down again. As the crowd awaited his first word since being appointed Hokage, Naruto gulped slightly, not wanting to let them down with some stupid speech. I, Uzumaki Namikaze Naruto, the Rokudaime Hokage, swear to protect you with everything in me, no matter who the enemy, foreign or domestic. I just really want to say, I love you guys, you made me into the man I am today. Naruto exclaimed, the crowd cheered at this, and even more as the Hokage cloak and hat were put onto him, they had been finished just a few moments ago. Much to Naruto's ecstaticness, the Haori read. Rokudaime Hokage. It was fashioned after a mix of his father's Hokage Haori, along with his Sage Mode Haori. It was red with black flames like his father's along the bottom. Let the will of fire burn brightly in all of you. Naruto exclaimed as he turned away from the crowd that was now partying about their excitement. Even the gloom of recent events couldn't keep them down now. Their savior several times over now was now their Hokage. They all knew it was his lifelong dream to become Hokage. A few minutes later in his new office. Naruto sat down in the chair he had sat down in once before for a day when he and Tsunade made the bet about if he could handle being Hokage for a day. Wow, I'm really here, aren't I? He mused out loud, and then Kagaya phased in from whatever dimension she had hid herself in for the time being. The Anbu hidden in the room flinched. They had by all means known who she was, even though Naruto had convinced them to at least forgive her past transgressions which were out of control. She still scared the shit out the hardened warriors. Someone that even their Hokage couldn't defeat wasn't someone to trifle with. Kagaya smiled at Naruto and straddled him lightly, not caring that she had an audience currently, she just wanted to be close to her man. Well, it seems you have finally achieved your goal. That deserves a reward. she said, with a devious smile on her face. Close your eyes, Naruto-kun. Kagaya said softly. Naruto was a bit apprehensive about this, but didn't sense any malice from the woman on top of him, so he obliged. Naruto wondered what the reward was that he needed to close his eyes, but mentally shrugged it off. Kagaya is all he could get out as he was interrupted by the feeling of something soft and supple against his lips, soon realizing it was Kagaya's lips on top of his. Wow, so this is what a female's lips feels like. They're amazing, I could get used to this feeling. Naruto thought to himself, wrapping his arms around her waist, instinctively pulling her closer to him, softly caressing her back as their kiss deepened a bit. Much to both of their dismay, Kagaya pulled back from the kiss with a slightly drunken look on her face. Though she smiled soon after, laying her head on his chest, just enjoying his heartbeat. Naruto was splayed out on the bed, unable to sleep because in all of his years of being on this planet, he had never had someone else occupying the bed also. Along with the fact he had finally achieved his lifelong dream of becoming the Hokage, he just hadn't expected it to be so soon. Take that too, San. I surpassed you. I became Hokage at only 19 years of age. Naruto silently thought to himself, pumping his fist softly, as to not wake the sleeping Kagaya who currently had her head on his chest, an arm draped over his chest. Kagaya was sleeping contently on Naruto, softly snoring, dreaming of various things, namely Naruto. Somewhere else in the village. Sasuke was sitting on top of the Hokage monument, the beginning of Naruto's sculpture of his head on the side of the mountain. The mountain carver had even gotten the rest of the village to agree to let him place Naruto's likeness next to his father's and move the rest further down. Yes, it would take longer to carve, but he was content with doing this because Naruto had saved the world. The dobe has definitely gotten better than I remember, though I don't mind being his advisor, means I can be close to him. It also will make up for the time I tried to kill him. Sasuke thought to himself. The shinobi had let him come back to the village, albeit a bit reluctantly, given his past transgressions against the village. Though they couldn't deny that he had been very influential in the turning of the war, along with the fact having the last Uchiha in their village made them that much stronger. Sakura came up from behind Sasuke, who still stood still, though he had noticed her, he made no move to break out of his memories. Hey Sasuke, she called out lightly. This caused Sasuke to look over his shoulder and raised an eyebrow at the pinket. What's up, Sakura-chan? Sakura blushed a bit at the fact she had been called Chan again, her first love was still strong, but hidden in her. Can't sleep either, huh? She commented lightly. Sasuke nodded at this. Sasuke patted the spot next to him and Sakura gratefully sat down next to him. Yeah, this is all but odd, the village is so different than last time I was here. Though it is a thriving village from what I can see. Sasuke said with a small smile, though the pain was apparent in his eyes. The things he did to this village in the past and its nin would haunt him for the rest of his life, though that didn't stop him from trying to repent. Sakura noticed the pain in his eyes, cupping his hand and laying her head on his shoulder. It's okay, Sasuke, you don't have to hold back your pain anymore. Sakura commented lightly, giving Sasuke's hand a light smile. Sasuke nodded, returning her squeeze back, releasing a sigh. Yeah, I'll tell you on another day, but not right now. Sasuke trailed lightly and gave her a soft smile. You remember all those dates you asked me on in the past? Sasuke asked lightly, he never forgot anything about the woman next to him had said to him or asked him, and she nodded at this, not entirely following where Sasuke was going. Will you go on an impromptu date with me? Sakura's eyes widened at this, turning as bright red as a tomato, but she nodded at this. I'd love to go on a date with you. Sakura said with a happy smile about what had just happened. Sasuke's smile brightened a bit. Alright, well, how about we the Akimichi BBQ? Naruto's ramen addiction never took hold with me. Sasuke said with a chuckle and stood, helping Sakura up to her feet. Sasuke and Sakura went on their date, completely oblivious to their blonde teammates' inner turmoil. The next day rolls around. Naruto sat behind his desk, flying through paperwork, barely reading it, enough to get the gist of what it was about. Gah, how did Bachan do it without pulling her hair out? Naruto thought out loud, then an idea popped into his head. Yada. He exclaimed, forming the hand signs for his signature jutsu. After a moment, the room filled with smoke, as it cleared out of the window, about 10 clones were in the room. As the clones looked to their creator to see what their mission was, then as he pointed at the paperwork mountains on the table, they started to grumble to themselves. The faster we get this done, the faster we can go home and eat ramen. Naruto exclaimed, and the clones perked up at the prospect of their favorite dish and dived into the paperwork. Well, I'm glad that this will go by a lot quicker, he thought to himself, picking up another paper, the sender bringing his full attention to the contents of the paper. It read. Hey son, I guess you can figure out who this is soon. You were a brilliant tactician during the battle against Kaguya. I wrote this during the time we had a little downtime. I knew my time in this world again was limited, but at least I got to spend some time with you and see you. Your mom will be extremely jealous when I get back. Tuckle, well anyway, I don't have much time, seems the battle is kicking back up. I want you to know I'm proud of you, my son, never forget that. Naruto's breath hitched at this, they had told him this before, but this still made him very happy to see, and now whenever he felt down he could just read this again, then he began reading again. Well, at the bottom of the page, there is a seal that holds a few jutsus that I had made or perfected in my time. I'm sure you can use them more than I can right now, and put them to better use. Well, it's time to get back to saving this world again. Oh, and congratulations on becoming Hokage. You finally got one up on me, it seems. Tsunade told me, if I survive this, I'm going to name your brat Hokage and retire anyway. Me and Kushina love you. Minato Namikaze, the father of the Rokudaime Hokage. Naruto had a big smile on his face, a few small tears dropped from his eyes, tears of happiness. He looked up and noticed that his clones were watching him intently. What are you doing? You don't want ramen, Naruto exclaimed lightly, snapping them back to their job. Kaguya giggled, wrapping her arms around Naruto's midsection, leaning her chin on his shoulder. Relax, it's just me, Itoshi plus Dezu. She said softly as she felt Naruto tense in her embrace. Naruto turned around as he heard her voice. He visibly relaxed, leaning lightly against her. This was going to take some getting used to, but it felt good to have someone hold him in something that wasn't a headlock. Somewhere Sakura sneezed. Naruto chuckled and turned around in her grip. As he did, he saw how she entered. Black cracks in the dimension seamed themselves back together. Don't sneak up on a ninja like that, it isn't very wise, especially given I am the Hokage now. Naruto said, motioning with his head to the Anbu, who were currently stopped with their katanas drawn, ready to try and strike down the godlike woman before them. Naruto waved them off and they relaxed, returning to their posts in the room. Kaguya nodded, letting Naruto go. As he sat down in his chair, she sat in his lap, impeding him doing his work. How about instead of you doing this boring paperwork, we go on our first official date? I'd like to get to know the man I am supposed to spend the rest of my natural life with. Kaguya commented, and Naruto looked at the paperwork, sighing, even with clones, it was still going to take the better part of a day to finish. Naruto shook his head, giving her a soft smile. No can do, I have to finish this paperwork, otherwise I will just have to do what I didn't today tomorrow. He said, to be honest, he wanted to learn more about her also, there were so many things he could learn from her. After all, she was the progenitor of all things jutsu and chakra related. Kaguya thumped his forehead softly, why not just replace yourself with a clone also? That way the workforce is not short-handed and they still get everything done. She asked curiously. Naruto had to admit her plan had made a lot of sense and he couldn't fault her logic, though there was his advisor he had to contend with. Because Sakura wouldn't be fooled by a simple clone. His ex-teammate was now head of the Medic Nin Corporation, an advisor to the Hokage. It was a post that Sakura took without a moment's hesitation. Believing that she was one of the only ones who could truly get through his thick skull, even if it was with a fist. Don't worry about her, as long as the paperwork gets done she will just have to get over herself. Kaguya said as a matter of factly. Naruto's eyes widened a bit at this. Everyone knew Sakura's inhuman strength, so even the one stronger than her just went along with what she said to avoid a baka punch. Naruto chuckled, he was beginning to like Kaguya more and more by the moment. She was one of the only people aside from him that stood up against Sakura. Albeit Naruto had only done it once or twice, but that's more than can be said for some ninja under him. Well, I cannot fault your logic, so let's go, how about we head to Akimichi BBQ? Naruto asked lightly, and Kaguya nodded, getting up, letting Naruto up. Kaguya lightly grabbed Naruto's hand, interlacing her fingers with his. She shared his sentiments about this, feeling odd, she hadn't felt a man's touch since her late husband. Satsura Itsuki, he was a kind and gentle man who would do anything for those he cared about. She saw a lot of him in Naruto. Well, is this place any good? Kaguya asked lightly, looking over to the blonde Kage next to her. Naruto shrugged, I have never personally been, but all my friends rave about how their food is so good, so I decided to give it a try. Can't just take you to my favorite ramen shop for our first date now, can I? Naruto wasn't a complete loss when it came to wooing women. During his time in the land of snow, during their downtime together, Koyuki had taught him a few things about making a woman happy on a date. Kaguya nodded and let Naruto lead the way. She had only been in the village for 2 days, so she had pretty much no idea where anything was. Really, as long as we enjoyed ourselves, I'd be fine with anywhere we went, Naruto. She commented lightly with a soft smile. It was true, but Naruto wanted to make their date kind of special, and what better way than a dinner date, followed by the best view in the village. A few minutes later. The Akimichi BBQ was reconstructed several times, but now it was a two-story building. When you entered there was a certain calm ambience that just relaxed you. Along with the soft music playing in the background, it was a good place to have a first date. Naruto went over to Choji and whispered something in his ear. Kagaya really didn't bother to try and listen into what he was saying, but it seemed to be something about her because of the occasional glance her way. "Thank you man, I really appreciate it," Naruto said with a bright grin on his face, looking at his old friend. Choji returned the infectious grin and nodded. "It's all good, it's the least I can do for one of my best friends and the Kage of my village," Choji said, slapping Naruto on his back lightly, putting him in a light headlock. "Better give me a good review though, got it? My food is top-notch," Choji said in a low voice, tightening his grip lightly on Naruto. The Kage chuckled a little bit and switched himself with a chair. Alright. I got it. You better serve me the best you have then," Naruto exclaimed lightly and Choji nodded, gaining a determined look on his face. Kagaya chuckled a little at this trait of friendship and followed Naruto as he started moving towards the back of the store, reaching a black door set into the darker red wall. "What's in there Naruto-kun?" she asked curiously, beeping her head to the side, giving Naruto a curious look. Naruto lightly grabbed her hand, interlacing his fingers with hers. "This is Choji's VIP room I guess you could say, complete privacy here, privacy seals and everything," Naruto said and opened the door to the slightly less lit room, but it was still visible in there. The table was lit by a candle, with romantic music playing in the background. This definitely was a more romantic part of the restaurant. Kagaya observed the room, slowly panning her side around the room. She had to admit, Naruto really did know a thing or two about romance, glad she gave him the benefit of the doubt. "Well this is definitely a romantic setting, I wonder how the food here tastes," Kagaya said, giving his hand a light squeeze. Naruto closed the door behind them and nodded, sitting at the seat across from her. It was a C-shaped seat, but Naruto wasn't going to take any chances of sitting close to her. Just in case she mistook him being close for an attempt at doing something perverted while they're alone. Kagaya appreciated the gentlemanly gesture of not sitting too close to her on the date, but she honestly wanted him closer, something just made her want to be close to the blonde knucklehead. "You can come closer Naruto, I won't bite, I promise," Kagaya said with a reassuring smile, but she was thinking I won't bite much, allowing herself a perverted giggle at the thought. Naruto raised a wary eyebrow at her little perverted giggle, but nodded, sliding closer, closing the distance to about half of what it was. "Sorry about that, but I didn't want it to seem like I was trying to be a pervert or anything," Naruto admitted. This time Kagaya slid closer, closing the rest of the gap. Kagaya smiled at his truthfulness and laid her head on his shoulder, sighing contently. "It's fine Naruto, though if you do try anything I don't like, I'll have to remove your friend," she said, causing all the guys in the restaurant to cover their precious lower heads in fear of the threat that had been placed. Even Naruto cringed at that prospect, but he would take it slow with her too, because he was new to this, so he didn't want to push her away. She can make such a vicious threat while having such a cute look on her face. She really is a force to be reckoned with, Naruto thought to himself, relaxing and laying his head softly on hers as the door opened. Both of the room's occupants looked up to see a waitress being led in the room by his Anbu guard detail, which followed him around even in the village for security purposes. The waitress bowed lightly to her Kage and smiled softly at the cute couple before her. "I'm honored to be your waitress today. Can I start you with an appetizer or a drink?" she asked, her soft smile never wavering. Naruto nodded and took the offered menu from her and perused it for a moment or two. "Agedashi tofu and some cold tea please, it looks pretty good, what about you Kagaya-chan?" Naruto asked curiously. Kagaya sat up and looked at the menu, taking a few moments herself. "I'll have the tsukun and some hot tea please, it's always been good seemingly wherever I go," Kagaya said with a smile. The waitress nodded and left the room, leaving the two occupants alone in the room once again. "How can you drink hot tea? It's just nasty to me," Naruto exclaimed lightly, causing Kagaya to giggle lightly at his antics. She rolled her eyes lightly and leaned her head back onto his shoulder. "Because that's the way it's supposed to be consumed," she exclaimed lightly, causing Naruto to groan a bit in disgust. Naruto blanched at the prospect of having to drink warm tea again. He didn't unless in the rare occurrence he got sick and had a sore throat. "It's good for sore throats, but aside from that, I'll think cold tea is better," he exclaimed lightly, a foxish grin crossing his face. Kagaya couldn't help but mimic his grin. "Hot tea is the nectar of gods. I should know, people used to revere me as a goddess," she said with a chuckle, causing Naruto to gain a light look of horror on his face. "Take that back. Ramen and cold tea is the feast of the gods," he grumbled lightly, his eyes flicking to Kagaya's hand which had snaked its way up to his cheek without him noticing. "What are yo" is all that Naruto could get out as Kagaya's hand could turn his head her direction. Then something unexpected happened. Naruto had felt something soft and supple against his lips. She is kissing me. Naruto thought in surprise, he really knew nothing about women, so it truly caught him off guard. Gaia smiled in the middle of the kiss, she had felt a small spark that is fabled to happen between two compatible matches. Shut up and kiss me. She ordered, and Naruto gladly obliged. Naruto wrapped an arm around her waist, pulling her a little closer. Deepening the kiss a bit, he loved the feeling of her lips on hers. Your lips feel so amazing, Naruto trailed lightly, a slightly drunk smile. Gaia smiled back and giggled, kissing his cheek. So do yours, but let's agree to disagree on team. She asked lightly, she didn't like arguing with someone she cared about. Doji cleared his throat, garnering the attention of the two starstruck occupants. Your food is here, you two lovebirds. Choji said with a chuckle, causing both of the two occupants to blush brightly at this. Naruto tried speaking, but didn't trust his voice, so he just nodded, giving Choji a lopsided grin. Gaia's blush was calming down faster than Naruto's, normally she wouldn't be fazed by showing affection, but when she was caught off guard entirely, she blushed cherry red. Thank you, it smells delicious. She said with a smile, accepting her appetizer, taking a deeper whiff of the food. It looks even better than the picture. Gaia said lightly, picking up her chopsticks and trying a bit of the food. Letting out a light moan of satisfaction at the taste of the food. I stand corrected, this is better than I've had before. Doji gained a smile on his face, he really loved having people enjoy and compliment his food, which was the main reason he took over his father's restaurant. Why thank you guys, I am glad you enjoy it, but don't get full on just this, the main course is still coming too. Choji said with a chuckle. Naruto nodded and looked at the menu again, figuring out what he wanted to eat for the main course. Chicken tonkatsu please. Naruto said, it looked on the menu, it looked pretty good to him. Gaia looked over his shoulder, letting her chin rest on his broad comfortable shoulder, perusing the menu. The katsudon looks pretty good. Doji nodded, taking the orders then bowing, heading to the kitchen, and started preparing their orders. The rest of the dinner date went pretty well in the restaurant, it ended in Naruto finally admitting there might be something better than ramen when Choji brought their dessert. He now knew a new love for red velvet cake. Naruto chuckled lightly as they left the restaurant, rubbing his slightly bulging stomach from eating so much. Man, Choji can cook, I am glad I didn't go to Ichiraku's for food today. He said and started heading for his favorite spot to just think, relax, or appreciate the village and all its beauty. Gaia was curious as to where they were going because they obviously weren't heading for the Hokage mansion as they veered off the path towards the Hokage mansion. Where are we going? She asked lightly, giving Naruto a kiss on his cheek, not really caring where they went as long as they were together. Naruto just kept quiet as they walked closer to the top of the Hokage monument. We're just going to my favorite place in the world. The top of my father's head being part of the Hokage monument. It is a great place to think and just relax here. Naruto said, sitting down on the top of the first blonde Kage's head. Gaia nodded and sat down next to him, pulling him gently down, putting his head into her lap. Well, this is a beautiful sight where you can see all of the village. Gaia said, absent-mindedly running her fingers through the blonde Kage's hair as he relaxed with his head on her lap. Naruto sighs contentedly and smiles up at Gaia, reaching up and stroking her cheek with his thumb, his palm cupping her cheek. He couldn't say for sure if he had feelings for her, but he did have a good interest in her and could feel something taking root inside of him, or was that indigestion? Nah, it was feelings, could swear a movie or show somewhere had trolled like that at one point, anyone know? Naruto woke up a few hours later in his own bed, a bit confused as the last time he remembers being awake, it was on top of the Hokage tower. What's this feeling of something weighing down on my chest? Naruto thought to himself as he hadn't opened his eyes yet, grabbing the weight on his chest by the scruff and subsequently a handful of hair. The rabbit goddess yelped lightly as she was rudely awakened by her hair being pulled. I may be a goddess and like it a bit rough, but that still hurt Naruto-kun. She said, lightly chastising him, giggling a bit. Come back, you make a good pillow. She lightly whined as Naruto used a replacement jutsu to switch himself out with a lamp that was nearby. What are you doing in my bed, Gaia? Naruto exclaimed, hand clutched tightly around the kunai he always had under his pillow, the sleep slowly defogging his brain. Oh Kami, I'm so sorry, it's still going to take some time to get used to. Naruto said with a sigh, absent-mindedly throwing the kunai into the middle of a bullseye of a dartboard he had on his wall. Gaia's eyes flashed a pained look for a moment, but just as quickly as it had appeared it had disappeared just as quickly. It's fine, Naruto, don't worry, the feeling's mutual, it's to be expected we will both be a bit on guard considering we haven't been together that long. Even more, we were just enemies a few days ago. She trailed lightly and sighed, running a hand through her hair, her gaze becoming softer as she saw Naruto relaxed visibly. Though if you're truly sorry, we can stay home for the day and learn more about each other. she asked, trying not to sound too hopeful, biting her bottom lip in anticipation as to what his answer to her question would be. Naruto brought his hand to under his chin, giving it a thoughtful rub as he remembered what his schedule for today currently was. I can't promise all day, but I can promise a few hours of time that we can spend learning things about each other. Naruto said with a light smile, walking back over to his bed and sitting down next to Kagaya, rubbing her hand with his thumb. Kagaya smiled lightly at this, giving Naruto's hand a light squeeze. Alright, I'll go first, what would you like to know about me? Kagaya asked curiously, and Naruto gained another thoughtful pose. Naruto thought for a few moments before coming up with his first question. I remembered something back from when I was younger. Kakashi, who was my sensei, had us do this on our first day as a team. Tell me your likes, dislikes, things like that, that's a good place to begin. Naruto said with a foxish grin as the memories of the days of his truly knuckle-headed ninja moments. Kagaya nodded, her smile widening a bit as his grin was infectious, he just radiated calm and happiness. Well, my likes are many things, but the top things would have to be. She trailed lightly as she thought about this for a moment or two. It'd have to be rabbits, mochi, manga, and a certain orange book. Kagaya said with a perverted giggle as she pulled out the copy Jiraiya had given him at one point. While Naruto slept, Kagaya had read some of the book. Naruto face faulted at her first and last likes, sighing a bit, muttering something about Iro-Sennin influencing people even now. I'll take that. Naruto said simply, grabbing the book, watching Kagaya dramatically launching herself at the book of her current affection. Kagaya lightly pouted a bit, but sighed a bit. Where was I? Oh yeah, my dislikes now. I dislike the Ito Tensei, cheaters, and people who excessively train. Kagaya said, making Naruto cringed a bit as one of his favorite things to do was training until he couldn't stand. Though thankfully for our blonde knucklehead ninja, Kagaya was too distracted with her thoughts to notice his reaction. Naruto rubbed the back of his head, chuckling sheepishly as he cleared his throat and began himself. Well, to begin, I like ramen, cute things. He trailed lightly, his gaze flicking to Kagaya for a moment before continuing. The color orange, and my Ni-chan, and Tu-san. He said with a bright smile, referring to AM and Tucci of his favorite ramen stand. Kagaya heard about him liking AM, and her eyes narrowed lightly at the blonde. You don't like her like that, do you? Kagaya asked icily. She wouldn't do anything to AM, but depending on how Naruto answered, he may not be leaving the house without a red slap mark. Naruto shivered as he felt the kai coming off of the slightly irate silver-haired woman. And no. Not like that. I've known her since I was little, and she always treated me like her little brother. So I just started calling her Wani-chan. She's family. He exclaimed lightly, bringing his hands up in an attempt at a complicating manner to calm the rabbit goddess. Kagaya visibly relaxed and smiled lightly at him. Good, because as I said earlier, I hate cheaters. Kagaya said, making sure to put a bit of emphasis on the last word to make her point. Anyway, what are your hopes and dreams, Naruto-kun? She asked lightly, standing up before promptly lightly flopping in Naruto's lap as his legs hung over the edge of the bed. Well, since I am the Hokage now, I am not entirely sure honestly. I guess I want to raise a happy family and actually be able to be there for them. Naruto mused softly, looking over to Kagaya, who had a light smile on her face and a mischievous glint in her eyes. Kagaya. What are you planning? Naruto asked warily as Kagaya began playing innocent. Kagaya giggled a bit, she was hatching a devious plan. Standing up, she focused for a moment and a black portal opened behind her. Stay here for a second and I shall be right back. She said simply, stepping through the portal, looking back to make sure Naruto wasn't following her. Naruto raised an eyebrow as she stepped through the portal, but stayed put, but his mind was wandering as he tried to figure out what that was about. What was that all about? He mused out loud, not noticing the smell of pheromones in the air. Kurama noticed though, with his sense of smell being connected to Naruto's, and snickered a bit at his host's denseness towards the opposite sex. Kid, you're too much at times, but I am sure you will like whatever she has planned. Kurama said cryptically to his host. Naruto was more confused now, but he laid down on his bed, not really noticing he was tired, so he fell asleep a few moments later. A few minutes later. The black portal that Kagaya left in opened back up in their room. As she stepped through, she was no longer in her long white kimono. Now she was in a lacy set of lingerie, white thin stockings that were attached to her garter belt with thin white straps. Her rather impressive cups that were perky by themselves were supported by a thin lacy white bra with a front clasp. How is he already asleep? Was I really gone that long? She thought to herself, but shrugged and headed over to the edge of the bed. Poking Naruto to make sure he was actually asleep instead of planning a surprise for her. When she was sufficiently satisfied he was asleep, she straddled Naruto, gaining a light smirk on her face as she slowly started gyrating her hips. Naruto felt something on the outside world as he was dreaming about ramen, so he slowly woke himself up. Huh? Naruto groggily asked out loud, opening one sleepy eye, his eyes opening fully and widening further as he realized what was happening. Kagaya-chan, he trailed lightly as he pinched back a nosebleed, letting out a soft moan at her ministrations. You're awake now? Good, I thought this might work to wake you up. She said with a light smile, biting her bottom lip as what she was doing was now affecting her a lot more than anticipated. God, just by the bulge in his pants I can tell I am going to love the things he can do, she thought to herself, turning herself on more as she envisioned as to what her man had hidden. Naruto let out a slightly louder moan as did a few hand signs, and after a moment or two, none of the early morning animals could be heard any longer. I'm glad I had these seals installed. He mused out loud, grabbing Kagaya by the waist and flipped them over. This caused Kagaya to let out a giggle in surprise as he took control over the situation. For some reason it further turned her on that he was taking control. Oh. Two can play at that game. She said simply, pulling him into a deep kiss, her tongue rubbing softly against his lips. Naruto took this hint and let his lips open, their tongues meeting halfway and beginning their heated battle for dominance. Naruto let his hands started roaming up and down her side softly, his hands barely touching her skin, causing her to yearn for him to touch her more. Kagaya, this is definitely a pleasant surprise. Naruto said throatily, lust apparent in his eyes as they took a few moments to catch their breath before they both dived back into the kiss. Naruto reached around and gave Kagaya's plump but perky ass a light squeeze, eliciting another surprised giggle. Kagaya smiled in the middle of the kiss, lifting her crotch up to give Naruto a better feel of her ass, along with gyrating her crotch against Naruto's. You're the dominant type, huh? That means we will clash at times, cause I am a switch. She said with a chuckle, her breath hitching lightly as Naruto began placing slow kisses along her neck and down her collar. Naruto was no longer really listening, driven by an instinct buried deeply inside of himself that he ignored until now. Kagaya, he breathed out, his voice becoming husky and deeper than usual as his lust was now starting to take over. Kagaya shivered a bit as he throatily said her name in her ear. This young man couldn't have known her weaknesses, but he was hitting them all like he knew them from the beginning. Naruto, she mewed out, riding in pleasure at Naruto's teasing as he ran his hand up her inner thigh, sending light waves of pleasure throughout her body. Naruto suddenly stopped his normal ministrations, which greatly confused Kagaya for a moment. Are you sure you want to go through with this? He asked lightly, it coming out a little throatier than he intended. Finally able to gain a bit of control over his lust for the sexy and beautiful woman laying before her half naked. A smile graced Kagaya's face as she nodded, propping herself up on her elbows and giving him a soft but caring kiss. Yes, Naruto, for one, I haven't had a man's touch in a few millennia and you're my fiancé now, so why should I be reserved about this? It's a natural thing. She said and giggled lightly as Naruto kissed her forehead before going back to what he was doing. That was all Naruto needed to hear as he slowly started placing kisses down her neck and collar again, now leaving butterfly kisses across her chest until he got to her bra clasp. This needs to. He said simply, tugging at the clasp until it came off with a satisfying pop. The bra fell off to the side, not fully falling off, but it now revealed Kagaya's perky breasts. Damn. They're even better than I imagined, Hinata's, as Naruto thought to himself as he stared lightly at her perky cups. They seemed to defy gravity, a bit topped off with light dusty pink nipples. Naruto didn't really have a preferences for breasts were, but he was now sure that Kagaya was it now. Kagaya felt lightly embarrassed under the blonde's bepitical gaze and covered her breasts with her arm. Don't stare so much, it's embarrassing, she trailed cutely, her curved index finger at her lips in a cute way of trying to defend herself from the embarrassment. Naruto smiled softly at the cuteness and slightly pried her arm from her chest, but she was stronger than she looked without using force. It's okay, Kagaya, you're beautiful and sexy. There's nothing wrong with you. Naruto said softly, and he wasn't lying, her skin was perfect, not a blemish in sight or an imperfection that Naruto could see. She was literally a goddess given physical form, and Naruto reveled at this aspect. Kagaya reluctantly removed her arm and nodded, men and women revered or feared her, but why was this blonde Kage making her feel like a schoolgirl again? Alright, if you say so, but it's unfair if I'm the only one getting undressed. She said softly, and Naruto took this as his cue to take off his shirt, causing Kagaya's eyes to widen a bit at the sight before her. Naruto was toned and muscular, but not in that disgusting bodybuilder way. His physique screamed raw power, sporting a six-pack and toned pecs. Now I see why you felt embarrassed when I stared. He said with a sheepish chuckle, rubbing the back of his head lightly, giving his signature sheepish grin, snapping Kagaya from her stupor from looking at Naruto's body. Definitely Adonis, she whispered to herself, but Naruto heard it and blushed at this unexpected compliment. Naruto, you have a body other men would kill for, how come you don't have a lot of fangirls fawning over you? She asked curiously, genuinely surprised he didn't have any fangirls. Naruto shrugged at this, giving a light chuckle. I always train in private cause I tend to get destructive so they don't get the chance to see my body. He said with a smirk. Lemon happened. Kagaya nodded and giggled softly, cuddling up to Naruto, laying her head on his chest. Yes, that was amazing, and I'm so full. It's insane how much you came, but are still so hard, she said with a soft yawn, snuggling closer to Naruto as her consciousness left her until she went to sleep. The end. So how was this part? I hope you like it. And if you like it, share this part with your friends and like the video too. And don't forget to subscribe our channel for daily awesome fanfiction. Okay, it's time for me to go. Bye bye.